Hello and welcome to this edition of the Monday, April 27th report from Bourdier. On the economic front, the publication of the Purchasing Managers' Confidence Indices in Europe and the United States provides the most insight. They confirm the recovery of the global industrial cycle, in grey here, accelerating in both zones, but also indicate a sharp decline in services in Europe, in red on the right, where the index has fallen sharply and is in the contraction zone at 47.4. It's a low point not seen in over 3 years. It's clearly the situation of frozen discussions and the lack of effective reopening of the Strait of Hormuz that's starting to weigh on companies, as is the case, for example, with air transport, in which about 20 airlines have now announced flight reductions of 1 to 2% in the coming months due to kerosene shortages. And in this context, European stocks are suffering the most, with a decline of 2.5% last week, while the US market was in the green at plus 0.6%, once again driven by the technology sector. Recent publications and announcements show that here too, shortages are emerging or being confirmed, but for good reasons, reasons of undercapacity in the face of demand in certain segments of semiconductors, associated capital goods, or even memory, in which it's essential to be positioned. This is one of the reasons for the entry into our portfolios of the Swedish group Atlas Copco, whose stock has underperformed the European industrial sector over the past 2 years. Atlas Copco is an ultra-high quality stock, specializing notably in compressors, mobile power generation equipment, and vacuum production and control equipment for industrial processes, particularly semiconductor production plants. The group is, in our view, on the eve of a cyclical recovery, but with valuation ratios showing a deflated premium compared to the industrial sector. In the coming period, we'll be monitoring the rest of the earnings releases, which are very intense this week, particularly in tech, as well as the decisions of the Fed and the ECB, especially regarding their interest rates. Central banks have a delicate task right now, between inflationary pressure and the risk of an economic slowdown if the conflict in the Middle East were to drag on. On this front, we'll also follow the nomination or validation process of Kevin Warsh to head the Federal Reserve, which could lead to a shift in doctrine favorable to the market. We'll have the opportunity to talk about it again. In the meantime, that's all for today. Thank you for your attention and see you next week.